All right, welcome. Morning briefing, August 20th, 2018. My name is Vernon Ely, Plans Chief that's working here now for a little while. We'd like to get this started. So to do that, Tom, could we click I think most people are checking out today, but there are a few replacement crews coming in, so we'd like to kind of go over the objectives, kind of like provide for the safety of firefighters, responders, and the general public by identifying and mitigating hazards through accepted practices and operating guidelines, protect life and property by pre-positioning resources and utilizing local resources in direct attack through safe firefighting tactics, keep losses of property as minimal as possible, assure that the strategy and tactics are based on current and predicted weather, fire behavior, and any hazards are clearly communicated throughout the incident. Establish unified command with local, state, private, and federal cooperators whenever possible. Conduct all operations in a safe, cost-effective manner while promoting mutual respect in an atmosphere free of discriminating or harassing remarks and behavior. Okay, so with that, we'll turn it over to Tom Bird with weather.
Hey, good morning. I'm Tom Bird, incident meteorologist. We got rid of Steve Fano yesterday. It was his last day. He timed out, so I'm in. This is day one for me. He did a great job, so hopefully I can follow in his footsteps. Okay, let's start with what we got right now across the state. And what you're looking at here is some infrared satellite imagery, and those colorful blobs here are thunderstorms that are in progress right now, and they extend from Fort Worth westward just along and north of the I-20 corridor. To the south you have some mid-level and low-level clouds in the coastal plains. Here's an animated loop of current radar, and so you can see some of those storms sagging south. There's a cold front that extends east to west across the northern and central portion of the state, and they're kind of blowing up on that little boundary there. Here's what lightning looked like since 6 o'clock last night. So this is the overnight, and you can see that we had a fair number of storms through the night, extending from Fort Worth just west, north of Midland. And then these are the storms that came through ICP here in McGregor yesterday evening. And then in the afternoon hours, we had some convection over the Davis Mountain and the Big Bend country out west. This is a look at the precipitation totals for the last 24 hours, ending at 6 o'clock this morning across the state. And if you compare this to what we've been seeing the last couple of days, these numbers are way low relative to what we were seeing, especially in the northern portion of the state. So here you're looking at less than 2/10 of an inch of rain at all the locations where we did get rain, with one exception right here with the thunderstorm activity there in the southern plains of far west Texas there. And there's what it kind of looked like area-wide, so that's kind of like a look at what the precipitation did look like across the state for the last 24 hours ending this morning. And those numbers are right here on the top of the chart, which is, you know, well less than an inch over most locations, and even less than a quarter inch for a lot of that. And then a lot of Texas just didn't get any rain yesterday. This is looking back 7 days now, through yesterday morning, and so this kind of gives you a look at what we've seen rainfall wise over the last 7 days. Anything that's blue is less than an inch, and then when it turns to those greens, that's an inch and above. So that kind of gives you an idea of the precipitation pattern across the state over the last week. Okay, now let's turn our attention to what we're going to be seeing for today and upcoming. These are our weather highlights across Texas. We have this cold front, and I'll show you a graphic of that here in just a second. It extends east to west across Texas, very slow moving, kind of almost stalled, but it will sag south during the course of the day. So it's not a big, huge one of those cold fronts that pushes a lot of wind and does significant wind shifts. So it's not going to be a watch out in that manner like we expect when we think of a cold front coming through. But it will be a focus for showers and storms across the area, especially later in the day, as it is right now actually. We will continue seasonally hot and then dry south of the front. North of the front, somewhat cooler, but still seasonally warm. Through the week, we're going to have high pressure start to build over, and we'll show that in just a second. And as it does, temperatures will start to trend upward, and it'll get warmer. And as we look ahead, as that high pressure does settle over the state, it's pretty much going to squelch all the precipitation and storm chances across much of the state going forward. So we're moving back into a warmer and drier pattern. So this is what we were looking at yesterday for storm activity. On your right-hand side is what we think it's going to look like this afternoon. This is a forecast. And they lined up really nicely where the front was yesterday and where we think it will be this afternoon. Okay, now looking forward for the forecast for just today. These are the high temperatures across the state. And you can see south of that front, it's exceptionally warm. We're going to see some triple-digit temperatures like down the I-35 corridor and then down into South Texas. To the north, it's still warm but cooler than it has been and cooler than it will be to the south today. These are the minimum relative humidity forecasts for this afternoon. And you can see 30s across much of the state with 40s to East Texas and coastal. And then you'll have slightly below 30 as you get really far west, Del Rio, West Texas, Big Bend country. This is the afternoon wind look. And so we put that front back on here. And you can see south of the front, you're going to favor a southerly onshore flow, so Gulf moisture, high dew points to the south, good relative humidity. To the north of the front, most of the winds are going to be north. And you can see we're not looking at real strong winds this afternoon. We're looking at 5 to 10 in most locations. On the right side is the gust. And you can see those aren't going to be that strong either, except for along the coast, you may have some stronger winds, 15 to 20, and then up in the panhandle, you may have slightly stronger winds. But nothing's really going to scream or shout at us today as far as winds go. These are the precipitation and storm chances through the afternoon hours. And here on the left-hand side is kind of our better probability of where we see those. And that's that swath extending across central Texas from east to west across the state. And these are only at the isolated, maybe a few scattered showers here and there and thunderstorms. And then on the right-hand side is kind of what the aerial coverage of the pattern of storms will look like this afternoon. And it won't cover all that green area, but that's the area where it's most likely that you would see the storms. And then looking ahead, this is what we have today right now. The high pressure is off to our west. We have a passing storm going through the Midwest, and that's that front being drug across the state as that system moves off. By the time we get through the week and towards the end of the week, that high pressure that's to our west will settle back over us. That'll put the lid on the storms, and that'll help get the heat back over Texas. So this is the precipitation outlook through the week. You can see there's not a lot of green. And so we're basically, after we see some storms today, maybe a few more tomorrow, we're going to kind of shut that off for the rest of the week, it looks like. Just maybe a few coastal showers here and there, and maybe some stuff go across the panhandle, but that'll be about it. And that concludes the weather.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Rich Gray, Operations. Yesterday, we continued to have some new starts, but a fairly slow day. I had one new start. East Texas, that was wrapped up pretty quickly. One new start in the Northwest Branch, the Ivan Fire. It's holding at 50 acres and 80% contained. We will staff that again today with Task Force 18 out of Graham. The chicken fire up in the Panhandle Branch went 100% contained yesterday, turned back to the locals, and that'll be in a patrol status for today. Weather forecast, like you heard today, we're starting to trend a little bit drier through the week. Still some storms today, so all the staging areas, make sure you're maintaining your SA and readiness for IA. And as that area moves south of concern, you may have some travel distances today. Also note in the IAP, the demob list, we have several demobs today, and we did condense down several staging areas across the state yesterday that are coming through today, and then moved around some resources to backfill some of the holes in the staging areas that we're going to continue to maintain. So those are all noted in your IAP. So today again, SA, stay up on that. Safety as you guys are traveling around, and prep for distances in case we get IAs, further distances from your staging areas. Y'all have a safe day. Thanks.
Good morning, Mickey Bunton, Safety. Yesterday we had no accidents or injuries, so that means everybody's keeping the situation awareness up and doing a good job of that. the resources that are demobbing, I'd like to thank them for the job they did here on safety without having access to injury. It showed that you're good professional firefighters. Today is a transition day, so we're going to have a lot of iron moving, either going to new staging areas or coming in here to demob. So I'd like to remind everybody to keep our situation awareness up on the driving. Some of the areas we haven't had schools open are opening up now, so just keep in mind there may be children on the side of the road. You go through school zones, so just be watching that. Watch out for that right there. As the weatherman was talking about, heat, humidity is going to be back with us today, so let's drink water, make sure we stay taking our cooling breaks. Winds are going to be up just a little bit, up 10, 15 gusts to 20, so it means in some of these fuels our fire behavior is going to kick back up. Also, it's talking about some thunderstorms, so just watch out for the thunderstorms and use that. Complacency, let's just make sure complacency don't sit in. Like the ops was talking about, we had a lightning strike last night. We had lightning moving through last night. So there may be some holdovers out there. We'll go, so when the call comes, just make sure you're ready to go, keep the situation awareness up. One thing we did have mentioned was in California, they did have a fatality. It was due to a tanker made a drop and some stuff come out of some trees and stuff, and the person was hit. We had 2 people injured, and this was last week. And 2 persons were injured and 1 person was killed. Like if you go back to your pocket guides and look at the capacity of these aircrafts, what they're carrying on the aircraft, also what to do in case you get caught in a tanker drop. I know we know it, but we just, when we have things like this, we need to go back and review our procedures and make sure our procedures are going to prevent anything like that happening here. Thank you.
Good morning, Robert Ford, Logistics. Just remind you, and we do have base camp managers still out in the field, so if you're out there and you need something, get that 213 into them, and y'all have a great day.
Good morning, Beth Plummer Finance. Just a quick reminder to check the IAP as we continue to evaluate the incident and right size. Check that demob plan. If you are on the demob list, go ahead and if you've got some downtime, go through your CTR book, go through your equipment shift ticket, get those original documentation together. If you're coming through to demob, we just ask that you please be patient with finance and we'll get to you as soon as we can. Have a safe day.
Okay, and Les had a prior commitment. He'll be around, but he told me that he won't be here today, so I'm sure what he would like you to know is Mother Nature always brings her A game, so that means we need to do it to stay up with her if we're going to do that. So that'll conclude the briefing, and the thought for the day is if you're not a good leader or a good follower, you're a good roadblock. Thank you.